Now that I've talked about attack, it's time to talk about defense. So again, when you're playing defense or attack, it doesn't matter. You always have to think about, what does the other team want? What do they want to get in terms of map control? What types of fights do they want? What do they want? And I'm going to make sure that I don't give that to them. So as a defender, you have to think to yourself, well, the attackers definitely want to make me split up as much as possible and have as little information as possible. I'm not going to let them do that. I'm going to fight for it. So the first thing that you have to think about is, well, if they're going to take this orb at C long, well, this orb is sitting here calling my name, telling me, come get me, come get me. And you can use the same ways that you get the orb at C long, you can do the same thing at long A. But you should grab this, put it on a Phoenix, put it on a Jet, put it on a Sova, put it on a Sage, put it on a Killjoy even. These are all great characters to get the orb on, and there's no reason to not grab this as often as you can. The next thing is, if you're able to establish control of either long A or sewers, and you're able to get all the information all the way down to this doorway, then what this means is that you can effectively have one person, whether it be on this box, whether it be down here holding with an op, whether it be with a camera from Cypher up here, or in the lobby, or a deep trip, or a turret up here from Killjoy, or a person sitting here with an op, or even with a rifle. Getting the information that the enemies are coming back when they're all the way back here means that even if the enemies are coming towards you, your teammates will have the time to rotate over to you, because the time it takes for the enemies to get into the site is going to be the same that it takes for your teammates to rotate to you. So if the enemy is here and they're running all the way to site, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, they're coming in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're ready to go. So this is super important, because the flip side of it is, if you don't have all that control and you're playing here, and the first time you spot an enemy is right at this area here, this angle, or let's say you're at this position here and the first time you spot an enemy is right here, then it's already over. You need to get to at least 2, and if you don't, then your teammates are probably going to lose the round. So it's super important that you establish that you have this long line of control, unless you're really comfortable in playing the retake on A, which is completely legitimate. And I'll get into that in just a second. There's not a whole lot of stuff that you can do towards B, just because it's pretty risky to come this way. There's definitely times that you want to do it. You just need to be really sure about what you're doing, how you're doing it. So if you're going to come down and do an aggressive peek this way, there needs to be a reason or a purpose behind it. This is definitely a really good angle for the defender to take on over this box, because you actually see more of their head than they see of you. And if you're on a specific character, such as like Reyna, or you're on Jet, usually getting this kill you could dismiss away. Or if you're on Jet, for example, you get this kill and you just dash away and you're in safety. So these are like definitely really good plays that you can do, especially to catch someone off guard that might be like being really lazy and kind of skipping steps. But for the most part, a lot of teams decide to play passive on B, because again, like I was talking about attack, if you give this 1v1 duel and you lose it, this is not good for you. It's really not. So you need to choose when to do this. And usually you have to decide, okay, if the attackers aren't coming through here, or we get early flanks off all the time, they're just going 5 people towards A a lot, then you can definitely get down here. And when you get down here, you can choose like, am I gonna wait? Am I gonna go? If you hear that they're instantly just going up A or C, you could jump up and come into the window and get an early flank going. Or you could just sit down here and listen to everything that's happening. Because if you look at the circle, you can hear as far as this, this, and this, basically. That's everything you hear. So you hear the enemies, just everything they're doing, all the way, like if they're rotating back from C to go A, if they're rotating back from A to go back to middle, and you're getting all this information for your teammates. This is really good. But you probably don't want to be down here by yourself. So if you are going to do something towards mid, make sure that you call a teammate to help you. There's different ways that your teammates can help. Your Owen or Brimstone can smoke the window, for example. Your Sova can send a recon dart somewhere out middle to catch out where the enemies are. You can have a distraction by having a push happen somewhere else. So the enemies think like, oh, the push isn't coming from mid, the push is coming from C, or the push is coming from A. And it makes them want to look towards A instead. And then that buys you that space that you can walk down middle. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. So it's up to you to decide how you're going to do it. Just make sure that you're not just doing it randomly by yourself without a real specific reason or purpose. Playing passive and defensively in B is definitely something that is really good if you know that the attackers like to just lurk a guy up middle by himself and get into these aggressive positions to really wreak havoc with your rotations. So playing up on a box like this, getting an op up here, especially as Jet, is really super powerful because you can usually get a kill and get out of harm's way. And if you really want to, depending on how you're feeling, you can go for another repeat shot. Or let's say you're up here, you kill one guy here, you fall off, and then you want to go aggressive again, and then you use your dash. This is also super valuable to use as a Jet. Garage is a position which is like, it's really dangerous to be in just because these walls, these doors are spammable, and once they're spammed through, they're almost like paper. They're not really offering you much protection at all. So once these doors are blasted down, being inside this area is pretty tough to be in. Just because one smoke here, and then like a recon or a Sova drone coming through, some duelists coming through, a breach flash, anything. If you're in these positions, getting one and keeping your life or getting 2 kills, it's really not that, you know, common to happen. You're probably not gonna, over like a large sample size, get a lot of kills doing this. So most of the people spot it from window or spot it from this area, and as soon as they're in danger, they back off. They have to concede it. But that's not a problem to concede an area. What you have to understand whenever you're playing for map control is if the attackers are coming with 2, 3, 4 people even to take control of an area, that means that your teammates on the other parts of the map should be like, if there's 3 people towards mid garage trying to take garage control from my teammates, that means that there's probably 1 or maybe 2 people towards A holding me from taking control of this. And that's an invitation for you to say, okay, you guys can have middle, you guys can have garage, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take A sewers and I'm gonna have this advanced line. And now I can have my second buddy that was A with me at the start of the round. He's going to go and rotate over. He's going to watch B. The B guy's going to help with the garage guy, and the garage guy can decide if he's going to fight or if he's going to back off to C. And now between B, garage, and C, I have 4 buddies there instead of just my 3 buddies at the start of the round. So this is why it's super important to be able to be flexible and not fight to your death in an area, especially by yourself, because you can always concede area control. You just need to know if you're going to give something up, you need to take something else from them. Moving over to C, it's really difficult to deny them the ability to get the orb, but what you could definitely do is listen for if the enemies are trying to get this orb, and you can try to like take them out, spam them randomly through a smoke. Usually there will be a smoke from Brimstone or Omen. One of the things that you could do definitely, especially if you're on a character like Jet or Omen or Sage or Raze, there's definitely a lot of characters that can use verticality and get on top of this box and then peek over and see like an arm of someone and get an op shot off, for example, or get a different angle with a Vandal or the Phantom. And as soon as they start tapping the orb, you can just sit here and just mow them down. You don't really want to let the enemies just walk up this for free, unless you're doing something like a retake C setup because you want to play heavier towards B and heavier towards A. That's fine. If you have like a Cypher or Killjoy and you have like some sort of trap set up for that, that's fine. But for the most part, you want to make sure that you don't let them just walk up for free and explode. It's the same thing as on A. If they're able to get to this point here and then out by the first time you see them, and then your teammates are super far away, the round's probably over by then. But if you're able to get information that they're all the way down here and then they're coming up, then the round's a lot more manageable for you. So doing simple things like doing a jump spot, and the way that you would want to do it is you would want to like run towards this entryway. You're going to jump, you're going to strafe to the left, and you're also going to move your mouse to the left. And this jump jiggle is going to make it super hard for them to hit you. And then you just want to peek out just wide enough that you get the information of if they're there or not. And it's going to be super difficult for them to shoot you. Even if you do something more shallow like this, if they see your arm, they might take a shot at you. And if they take a shot at you, you know someone's there. At least one person. You can tell what type of gun they have. Maybe they shot an op at you, maybe they shot a vandal, maybe they shot a sheriff. It'll give you a little bit of information. But this jump jiggle is really super strong because it's super hard to kill you. Maybe they get a little bit of damage off, but they're probably not going to kill you. And it's a good way to get free information on if the enemies are coming here or not. Next, I'm going to talk about who should be in which positions. And I see a lot of the time, people on defense in ranked games, they'll put like a Sova on C, and their Omen's going to be like Garage, and then they have like one duelist is just like running down mid every round, and then they put their Sentinel because the Sentinel has like abilities such as like Cypher has a trip or a camera, or Killjoy has a turret and alarm bot. They put the Sentinel really passive on the A site. What happens when you do this is that because the attackers know, okay, it's a Cypher or the Killjoy playing A and he's by himself every round, because like even though it's like super strong for a Sentinel to be able to anchor areas, if they have this information that you're just there alone, they're going to walk all the way close to long and short, and then they're going to use a bunch of abilities on you, a recon, a drone, some flashes at you. They're going to run out at you. It doesn't matter if you have abilities there, they'll just kill you, and then they have the sight. So playing Sentinels here is okay, but you can't do it every round. You have to mix it up. So going here one round, because your teammates are going to go aggressive on like middle and garage, or they want to push C, for example, then you can go here, play the passive setups, try to get some stall in, and then basically you're not here to hold the site necessarily. You're here to stall and buy time and make it difficult for the enemies to really get the plant off right away, and maybe get a pick-off kill so that the retake is really super easy for your teammates. Other than that, it's not really good for you to come here every round as like a default thing, because once the enemy clues into this, then it's pretty much game over from then. Cypher putting a trip on this wall, or a Killjoy putting an alarm bot on the ground here to get information of if there is a lurker coming into B is really strong, but a lot of good players are going to figure out that you're putting it in a similar spot every round, and then they're going to come and just break it. And if they just break it, you've lost your information on the site. This could happen really early into the round. It's going to cost you your abilities, and it's going to cost you money, basically. So knowing when to use the trips or the alarm bot is really good. If they're just breaking it every round with like a Sova shock dart, or they're just spamming the wall if you're Cypher, maybe think about like putting it in a different spot, something more defensively, or maybe think about putting a player here, like up here, for example, on the box to hold for a lurker coming in, or maybe you can use a camera up on the walls instead of putting a trip, and then use your camera for information instead of the tripwire. Towards a garage, again, it's like you don't really want to sit here too long to fight, but there's definitely like ways you can play here with shotguns. If you're on an eco, for example, it's super dangerous for an enemy to come into the garage if you're on eco and you have a shotgun. So they might avoid you, and if they come into you, you might get lucky with some kills. This is also a good position because you can quick rotate to C, and if the enemies choose to go up B, then you can come out here and take a duel on a person here and then get a flank off as well. So playing in garage isn't the worst thing. You just need to know how to play it off of your teammates that are playing B.